All right, hi, I've been talking with, we're giving some feedback about how to clean up the surface, or that some of your pots that you've made need a little surface refinement, some cosmetic cleanup. And that sort of happens when the clay is leather hard. So I'm gonna do a little demo. I've got this pot here, which I made up of coils. It is leather hard. It feels pretty nice. It's not super cold. It's not wet. It's not leaving any like residue on my hands. I don't know if it like keeps its form. It's not, no marks are made, but I can still carve into it pretty well. It's very soft, very nice to carve into like that. Oh, so beautiful. And then I can smooth it out a little bit to make that. So when it gets leather hard, it's pretty easy to do cleanup things with a knife, with a loop tool, a carving tool. You can carve forms into it. You can make decorations. This is a great stage for decorating and carving into the clay. If you have like a bunch of junky little uneven texture on the bottom, let's say that's going on, and you're like, ugh, that's gross, or like the slip from your hands and there's a handprint or whatever, no problem. You can clean that up. If you can't scrape it away because that's not really working, try this. This is what I told some people before. Take a, got some water, got a sponge, squeeze it out pretty well, and you can just go around the surface. And it will smooth out fairly well. So all those marks that I made, those have all basically disappeared. Now, one thing that does happen, this clay has some grit in it, some grog, some like little bumps, and so those become more noticeable when you use a sponge, because what you're doing is you're wiping away some of that clay, some of those like little clay platelets, but you're not wiping away those big bits. So they will come up and they'll give it a kind of gritty texture. You can just go back over it and kind of push them back into the surface a little bit. It's not going to be totally perfect, but nothing is. I don't know if you can see that line. Yeah, you can see it. But it does help. So that's how you clean up, do little cleanup cosmetic things at the end. It really helps bring that pot to like the final level. And it's going to take you from that one category of like proficient into the exemplary category. It's going to boost your grade, boost you up in the next category. Do that. It's going to make the pot better. You're going to be more satisfied with it, I hope, more likely to use it. And that's kind of what the whole deal. That's kind of the whole reason why we do it. One more trick, if you want to, you don't have to. Like this could be good, but there's one more thing we can do. All right. You can take a very smooth stone if you have one. This is just a stone that's been polished. You can see the shine on it. What you can do with this is you can burnish the clay surface just by kind of move this down here. By moving it down, by just kind of rubbing it. What you're doing is getting the platelets of clay sort of in line, and you're smoothing it, and you're also going to give it a nice sheen by doing that. So kind of making it shiny. It's hard for me to see the light. But that's kind of the idea with a smooth stone, a smooth surface. You kind of polish the pot, give it a nice shine. And maybe this one, that may be a little wet. You can do it in circular motions. You can go back and forth. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you, that's what you should do. So that's cosmetic cleanup. This is also a great time to make those textures, to carve those designs. Let me show you that too. Why not? Got this tool, a little loop tool, a little carving tool. Look at that. Yeah. So what you can do when it's leather hard is a beautiful thing. You can very nicely and very easily carve things in. And look at that. That is just absolutely gorgeous. Like that is brilliant. If any of you have ever turned wood on a lathe or seen wood turning, like that's really nice when you get a piece of wood that comes off of the spindle in a nice curve like that. So this is an ideal time to carve into the surface like that because you get these beautiful little loops. You get a nice clean line right there. So like that's really great. If you have a spinning tool, a Lazy Susan, turntable, great. If you don't, you might have to like move your body around or just kind of work it on your own. But it's like carving through butter. It's beautiful. You want to set the stage, you can make a lot of very beautiful, aesthetic, nice to touch textures, which add interest to the pot. It also, they sometimes help to disguise the unevenness if that's something that you want to hide. It makes it a little lighter, nicer to handle. I've also heard of, there's also a practical purpose aside from like looking good, feeling good. I've heard that there's some pots in, I don't remember what country, but they put a texture on the outside because they store liquid inside. So if any of the liquid spills, they have this texture, and the texture helps them keep a good grip on the pot. Because if you've ever had, if you've ever done the dishes by hand and had soapy water on the outside of a mug or bowl, it becomes very slippery and you can drop it. So by adding this texture, anything that spills on the outside gives a little grip, and they cover the whole pots with it. But you can do really lovely carvings on a piece. So those are my cosmetic cleanup and carving tips for leather hard clay. Do good work.